And finally, my extraordinary Congressman, Ted Lieu, who is such a warrior. He's currently representing California's 33rd Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives. Thank you all so much for joining us today for this panel on leading in a crisis that really, sadly, is the only way to describe what has been happening to Asian Americans at this moment. And so, Congressman Lieu, welcome. I want to start with you. Now, there are 435 members of the House of Representatives, and 13 are Asian Americans. And I want to take you back to last September when Congresswoman Grace Meng introduced HR 9088, which was essentially a condemnation of acts of hate and bigotry against people of Asian descent. It required no money, no resources whatsoever. Now, the bill passed, but only 5 Republican members voted for it, which meant that 164 voted against it. So I wonder what it's like to lead at a time when 164 of your colleagues can't even condemn acts of violence against people who look like you.
Thank you, Lisa, for your question, and thank you, Amplify, for having this wonderful event. That's a terrific question, and let me just note that a few weeks ago, we had a hearing on violence against Asian Americans, and the ranking Republican member in his opening statement talked about communist China. And you see that there is this rhetoric that's coming primarily from Republicans that is confusing the actions of a foreign government with Americans of Asian descent. And is that confusion that caused Japanese Americans to be interned during World War II? It's that confusion now that's causing a spike in hate crimes against Asian Americans. And we just have to push back on it. Unfortunately, when we try to do that in Congress, a number of Republicans did not agree with that resolution. And it's just something we have to keep fighting for. So for the first time, we're seeing across America a number of rallies in support of Asian Americans. I've never actually seen that before. And you have people who are non-Asian coming out in support of the Asian American community. So that's very exciting. And then within Congress, there are a number of bills now that are being debated that are going to address this issue. One creates a National Hate Crimes Commission. I'm a co-author of that bill. Another bill would create an office in the Department of Justice that focuses on hate crimes. Other legislation would devote more resources to prosecutions and investigations. So there are efforts underway in both the House and Senate to address the hate crimes issue.
The representation there, you know, what I felt over the last several weeks watching the hearing, watching Grace Meng going at, you know, Representative Roy, watching you, Congressman Lieu, speaking out, watching my senator, I'm so proud of, Tammy Duckworth, speaking at is, I mean, it just gives me chills even sitting here right now. We have a voice that we never had before. And representation matters. And having all of you there in this moment in time makes it so much different than what we've had before. And you know, you are giving voice to all of us in our community. I think it feeds on each other as we see you all giving voice to that and showing leadership. This is a panel on leadership. That's what leadership looks like. You all have been giving us a lesson on what leadership in our community looks like. It empowers the rest of us in the community, and it empowers those voices who've been quiet. It shows people why their vote matters, about why it matters to have, you know, people who are Asian across the board in all manner of positions of leadership. And, you know, I just want to thank you for that voice and really underscore how critically important it has been and makes this moment, I think, really different than the Vincent Chin moment, right? When there wasn't anybody in Congress to give voice to the death of Vincent Chin and what happened to him in the way that we now have and are able for you all to give voice.
And I just want to add, it's not even just elected officials, it's everyone in all walks of life, including in the media. I have to say one of the coolest videos I've ever seen was a CNN video. It's about 15 seconds and simply had CNN reporters say their name and that they're from CNN. Lisa Ling was in that video. And it was really cool because every reporter that they featured happened to be Asian American.
Well, it is a really out of this crisis, right? I think there is something very powerful that is happening, which is, as Tina said, people are really finding their voice, you know, for a community that has generally kept its head down. We're talking, we're sharing, we are discussing the things that so many of us have just been repressing and finding community in one another's story. And that to me has just been incredibly powerful.
To anyone who out there who's watching right now, and particularly to young people who are watching, I just would say that sometimes speaking out can be uncomfortable. But I always think that sometimes in that uncomfortability is where the magic happens. That is where you can find your strength. That is where you will find your voice. So go for it. Embrace those uncomfortable moments and find the courage to speak out.
So powerful. What a wonderful way to end this conversation. Malik, Tina, Congressman Lieu, thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you for being the incredible leaders that you are in this crisis and so many others. We really are so inspired by you and appreciate you out there fighting on our behalf. So thank you so much.